Hi, this is Bob Leahy, and we're here at PARN, Peterborough AIDS Resource Network, and we're talking to Kim Dolan, who's the Executive Director. Hi, Kim.
Hey, Bob.
Now, you are probably you share a distinction of probably being our only interview subject that we've actually revisited. So you've been twice on Positive Light. So this is an honor for us.
Honor for me as
and maybe for you too. Now we're here to talk about Peterborough Pride, which is coming up shortly. Tell me the date, so we know what we're talking about here, Kim.
Yeah. This year, Peterborough Pride spans an entire week. So kicks off with the parade on September 17th and ends with a big dance and show on September 24th.
So you've got a big program of events, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I wanted to explore, many of us are familiar with Pride in Toronto, for instance, and many big cities. It's a big affair. But I wanted to explore how different it is in a smaller community, because I think you face issues that say Toronto doesn't even have to think about. And let's go there, can we? Tell me some of the issues you think that set small town. And Peterborough is not small town; it's a big town, but it's a blue collar town or city, and it faces different issues, right?
Absolutely.
And what would you say those are?
The primary concern that people from this community talk about is anonymity, confidentiality. So if they're not out in their community, it may not be safe for them to participate in Pride events, or at least the public events that we organize. When the first committee organized Pride in Peterborough in 2002 or 2003, there was an interview with one of the local newspapers, and they said, "We promise there will be no nudity. This is a family event, and we're welcoming of the entire community, including allies." So that very statement was actually one that got us into, a bit of conflict last year, which really meant that we needed to revisit Pride values and how we were rolling out Pride.
Tell me about that. Did that involve nudity issues? And I think it was people wearing chaps, was it?
Yeah,
not?
yeah. It was
Tell me about what happened there.
Yeah, just one fellow wearing chaps. And
was there anything under the chaps or no?
No,
okay.
Not initially. At least that's not what some people felt, but that could be debated.
And what was the reaction to that?
So we had volunteers who had participated in Pride since the new committees took over in 2006, and we had when we first took over, so it was PARN and the Rainbow Service Organization, along with the Fleming Association of Queer Students, the Trent Queer Collective, PFLAG Peterborough chapter, and the Ontario Public Interest Research Group chapter. That was the original group that took over in 2006, and we promised to uphold the values that the original group had promised the community.
So that is the sort of family safe,
no
nudity approach.
And family safe. We needed to acknowledge that families come in many guises, and that what they were really talking about was that there were children present, and that we go through the downtown core, which is a vibrant downtown in a small community. So there are lots of people out shopping in there with their kids and getting back to school stuff still, and may not even know that Pride is happening. So we wanted to keep it within the parameters that original group had set out. And there were many people who feel that Pride in Peterborough is political enough. Just the fact that we have Pride is very political, and unlike Toronto, where people can take their politics and their unique identities and really be open and celebratory about that, in Peterborough many people have expressed a few more concerns. But last year, one fellow was there, and one of the longer-term volunteers saw him and kind of thought in the moment as the parade was rolling out, wow, we haven't had nudity here, we can't do nudity. So the decision in the moment was to ask him to not participate in the parade, unless he put on some pants under his chaps. So
that's very controversial, because some would say Pride is all about celebrating diversity, celebrating sexuality, celebrating who we are, and some of us wear chaps, and some of us some of us belong to clubs, for instance, which celebrate nudity.
Absolutely.
So what would your reaction to that suggestion be?
So we really had to get together and think. I mean, the community, we got some kickback from the community. People really confused. They felt that it was censorship, and as you've just stated, really Pride should be about celebration and diversity, and not succumbing to pressures from mainstream communities or mainstream society. What that did was, it was really a moment to take a look at how does Pride in Peterborough need to change. So we had a community meeting. We undertook a survey of the community using a number of different ways, getting information out through SurveyMonkey. Asked lots of questions about how Pride's been going and what the community feels, and whether they felt that the organization should still be involved or whether it should sit solely with the community. Got the information back, rolled that up, had another community meeting in the early spring to report back to everyone. And the work of the working groups over the winter, and it was tough work, a couple of working groups took on. The decision was that we can't police our community, and we're not going to participate in censorship, and that what we need to use to guide our decisions would be legislation in the Criminal Code of Canada. So what does the Criminal Code say in terms of nudity? And so that's
so the Criminal Code defines what you do.
Yeah, Criminal Code defines what we do.
All right.
And because we have, so this is a parade where we get a lot of support from the City of Peterborough, including the police.
Right.
And police
is any of that support conditional on anything that we've talked about?
No, none at all.
It wouldn't be susceptible to being withdrawn, say, if Pride got too kind of out there, or that's not an issue.
I don't think so, and I think the fact that we landed on the Criminal Code as our guide, police would support that, and I think that you can't land in any other place other than to say, the Criminal Code defines it.
All right, well, that's good, Kim. We've talked a lot about nudity, but Pride is in Toronto. It is a little bit of an issue, but interestingly, it's pretty well accepted there. Actually, a straight crowd doesn't have too many problems, I think, with TNT, say, which is the nude group, but we're dealing with a different community, and it's interesting to see how that pans out. Now, tell me about how the reaction you get to the Pride Parade from people on the streets, people who probably don't know you're coming along, and then see a bunch of queers and transgendered and people dressed funny and all kinds of things, probably. Absolutely. What's the reaction?
You know, it's kind of fun because we're fortunate here. The Amazon Motorcycle Club comes up from Toronto. So like the Dyke March in Toronto, our parade kicks off with the Amazons roaring down George Street. And so that creates a fair bit of attention. And because we're a sanctioned parade and we have the permits from the city, we have a rolling road closure, so police are present as well. So we've got some legitimacy in terms of police presence. So when we go down the street, it is a very varied crowd, but we've also got service providers from local social service organizations and a number of local churches. So people, for the most part, stop, look, and celebrate with us.
That is good. That's what I'm hoping. Well, I'll be there this Saturday to record the event, so I'm really looking forward to it. Tell me quickly, Kim, you've got a big program this year for, I think it's probably your biggest event ever, am I right? And it's nicely documented. You have a Pride guide on the internet and a printed guide. Let's just show me what you've got on the internet. I think it's quite impressive, actually, what you've done. So this is where people who want to know about what's going on can look, and you've got part of a nicely composed Pride guide with.
We're so proud of the Pride guide.
I see is the advertiser there.
We are. Let me just
that's
find,
that's really nice. Yeah.
Cover of our Pride guide.
Right.
Lots of events. So we've got a full week of events happening. So starting with the parade on Saturday. Lots of events happening at the stage down at Prairie Park. There's a brunch on Sunday, running club, there's knitting groups, there's a cruise on the 22nd, so anybody who wants to cruise on the cruise is welcome to hop up and do that on the 22nd. And then a great show with performances and a dance called Act Out on the 24th, and final brunch on the 25th.
And here you may have some surprise people from, you probably can't tell me now, but there may be some surprises in the lineup. Is that correct?
There are some surprises in the lineup, and many of the readers will know her.
Yes, yes, and you'll have to go to find out who that personality is. Kim, this is fascinating. Thank you so much for talking to us. We're going to follow the Pride itself because we think it's such an interesting event and a fresh spin on something we're very familiar with, but I think pans out slightly different in a city like this. So we're fascinated to cover it, and Positive Light will be there. Kim, thank you very much for talking to Positive Light.
Cheers.